There is a film set in Los Angeles. The year is 1955. A director is drunk before noon. His name doesn't matter anymore. That's what happens when Robert Mitchum gets involved. The crew stands frozen. 50 people. Cameras idle. A woman is crying. And in the back of the soundstage, leaning against a wall with a cigarette between his lips and absolutely nowhere to be, is the biggest male star in Hollywood. He pushes off the wall. He walks over. Slowly. No urgency, no anger on his face. He leans down and whispers 3 words into the director's ear. The director goes pale. Then he stands up, takes off his headset, sets it on the chair, and walks off the lot. He never directs a major studio picture again. Nobody on that set ever forgets it, not one of them. But to understand why 3 words from Robert Mitchum could end a man's career in Hollywood, you have to go back, way back, to a teenage boy riding on top of a freight train with nowhere to go and nothing to lose. Let me tell you. Act 1. The Boy on the Rails. It is 1931. The Great Depression is eating America alive. Robert Charles Derman Mitchum is 14 years old. He is already gone, already running. His father died when he was 2. A railroad accident in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Gone before Robert could remember a face. His mother remarried. The family moved. Robert didn't fit anywhere. He never tried to. At 14, he walks away from home and doesn't look back. He rides freight trains, hobo jungles, open cars, bitter cold. He fights for food. He sleeps on dirt. He works when someone will hire him. Ditch digging, farm labor, anything. He is a large kid, already big in the chest and shoulders, with heavy-lidded eyes that make him look bored by everything, including danger. He gets arrested in Savannah, Georgia. Vagrancy. He is 16 years old. The judge sentences him to a chain gang. He is shackled to men twice his age. He breaks rocks in the Georgia heat. He sleeps in a cage on wheels. He serves 50 days. Then he escapes, climbs a fence and runs barefoot into the dark. He carries the scars on his legs for the rest of his life. He comes back north. He boxes. 27 professional fights, most of them brutal, all of them underpaid. He gets his nose broken. He wins most of the time. He doesn't celebrate. He just moves to the next thing. He works in a munitions factory in Delaware, turns the same bolt 1,200 times a day. After 3 months, something breaks inside him. He walks out. A friend drags him to a theater group, just to keep him busy. He walks in, he looks around, he shrugs, and everything changes. Act 2. Hollywood finds the wrong man. It is 1942. Robert Mitchum is 25 years old. He has been doing small theater work in Long Beach. He doesn't love it. He doesn't hate it. He treats it the way he treats most things, with a kind of profound architectural indifference. A casting director sees him in a bit part. Something about the way he stands there, the way his eyes look half closed, like he's deciding whether you're worth looking at. Like the world owes him nothing and he owes the world less. They put him in a Western, then another one, then another. By 1945, he has made 18 films. 18. Most people spend years trying to get one. Mitchum collects them like change in a coat pocket. The studios realize something. This man looks like danger. He looks like a man who has actually been somewhere dark and come back with no particular feelings about it. The camera doesn't flatter him, it reveals him. And what it reveals is the most authentic face in Hollywood. A face that has slept on the ground, survived the chain gang, and bled in 27 rings. He becomes a star the way a storm becomes a storm. Not because someone decided it, just because the conditions were right. But wait. Here's the thing nobody understood about Mitchum back then. He still doesn't care about any of it. He doesn't read scripts until the car ride to set. He doesn't learn lines in advance. Freshness, he calls it. Insolence, the directors call it. The camera doesn't care what they call it. Every take is clean and cold and exact. He becomes famous for being impossible to rattle, for showing up, delivering perfection, and leaving without a word to the press. And then 1948 arrives, and the whole thing explodes. Act 3. The arrest that was supposed to destroy him. It is September 1, 1948. A house in Laurel Canyon, Los Angeles. Police raid the property. Inside, Robert Mitchum, along with a small amount of marijuana. This is 1948. This is career annihilation. The Hays Code is law. Studios fire people for less. A man with Mitchum's history, the chain gang, the vagrancy, the boxing circuit, is supposed to collapse under this. The studio calls a crisis meeting. Executives pace the room. Lawyers are summoned. Someone actually cries. They need a public apology. Mitchum on his knees, remorseful, grateful to still have a career. They call him in. They lay it out. The plan. The statement they want him to deliver. Mitchum looks at them. That half-closed gaze. That complete absence of fear. His answer is 4 words. He will not apologize. Just that. Clear and final and without drama. He goes to jail. He serves 60 days. He sweeps floors in a gray prison uniform. A reporter gets access and asks him through the bars what he thinks of prison life. He shrugs his massive shoulders. It's just like Hollywood, he says, only fewer phonies. When he walks out of that jail, something impossible happens. The box office lines wrap around the block. His first film after the arrest breaks studio records for the month. The audience doesn't want a perfect man in a carefully managed scandal. They want a man who looked the entire entertainment industry in the face and refused to flinch. He gives them that man. He has always been that man. Act 4. The Night of the Hunter. It is 1955. Charles Laughton is directing what will become one of the greatest American films ever made. He needs a villain, a preacher, a false prophet who hunts 2 children across a river-dark American landscape, a man with love tattooed on the knuckles of one hand and hate on the other. He casts Mitchum. What happens on that screen is not acting, not in the conventional sense. Mitchum reaches back into the Georgia chain gang, into the freight trains and the hobo jungles, into every man he ever watched exploit something weaker than himself on those back roads. He pulls all of it forward and puts it behind the eyes of Reverend Harry Powell, and what comes out is terrifying not because it is performed, but because it is remembered. The film is ahead of its time. Critics don't know what to do with it, but every director who watches it understands immediately. Martin Scorsese calls it one of the essential American films. Entire film schools are built around its visual language. Mitchum never talks about it. He made the picture, cashed the check, and moved on. That is the whole philosophy, right there. Act 5. The secret directors who worked with Mitchum all say the same thing eventually. They hated the idea of him. Undisciplined, disrespectful, didn't memorize lines, showed up without preparation. A studio executive's nightmare. And then the camera rolled. 1 take. Clean. Perfect. Done. No wasted time. No neurotic repetition. No actors' studio monologues about finding the character. Mitchum would arrive, read the scene cold, deliver something permanent, and walk to his trailer to read a book or write poetry, which he did quietly his whole life and almost never told anyone. Otto Preminger said working with Mitchum was the most efficient experience of his directing career, that the so-called laziness was actually a total absence of ego. No interference between the camera and whatever true thing lived behind those heavy eyes. There is a word for this. It is called mastery. Mastery doesn't sweat. It shows up, does the thing, and leaves. Mitchum had more of it than anyone in Hollywood and spent no time proving it. Act 6. Back to the sound stage. Now we go back to 1955, that frozen soundstage, that drunk director. The man had been drinking since before call time. By late morning, he was screaming, not at props, not at lighting, at his leading lady, in front of 50 crew members, making her cry in front of all of them. The crew watched, because in 1955, you did not correct a director on his own set. That was the law of the ecosystem. Directors were gods, actors were product. You endured, and afterward you made calls to agents, and nothing changed. Mitchum pushes off the wall. He walks over with the same unhurried pace he uses for everything. No raised voice, no big gestures, no performance of anger. He leans down. He is a big man, remember, wide in the chest, built by the chain gang and the boxing circuit, and he speaks very quietly into the director's ear. 3 words. The director's face changes, goes white, then gray, then something like shame. He stands up, takes off his headset, sets it down gently, which is somehow the strangest part of the whole thing, and he walks off the lot. Mitchum turns to the crew, looks at the leading lady, nods once. Then he walks back to his position, picks up the scene from the top, and delivers it perfect on the first take. Nobody asks what the 3 words were, not right away, not on set that day. Mitchum never says. He takes it to his grave like 100 other things. Because a man who spent his youth surviving real hardship understands that most drama is just noise, and the only response to noise is to do your work and go home. Act 7. The years that followed, the 1,960 seconds come, then the 1,970 seconds, then the 1,980 seconds. Mitchum keeps working, over 110 films by the end. He never chases awards, he never campaigns for roles. Studios chase him, not the other way around. In 1962, he makes Cape Fear. He plays a psychotic ex-convict named Max Cady, with the same quiet menace he has carried since Georgia. He makes the picture effortlessly and then describes it to a reporter as just a job. In 1973, he makes The Friends of Eddie Coyle. Critics call it one of the most honest depictions of working-class desperation ever filmed. Mitchum says he liked the script because it was short. Younger actors begin to understand what they are looking at. Clint Eastwood studies him, the stillness, the economy of movement, the refusal to explain yourself. Robert De Niro watches Cape Fear on a loop, preparing his own version 30 years later. They are all right, and they all miss the point slightly, because what they see as a performance choice is actually just a man who was himself, thoroughly, stubbornly, permanently himself. A man who had nothing to prove because he had already survived everything you could threaten him with. Act 8. The End. Robert Mitchum dies on July 1, 1997 in Santa Barbara, California. Lung cancer. He is 79. There is no dramatic deathbed scene reported, no final pronouncements, no last press conference. He was with his family and then he was gone, with the same lack of ceremony he brought to everything. Hollywood goes quiet for a moment. Not the performative quiet of industry grief, but a genuine pause. The kind that happens when people realize something irreplaceable has left. The obituaries all use the same words: difficult, unconventional, impossible to manage. What they mean is, he could not be owned. What they mean is, he was the last of something. The last man in the entertainment industry who arrived at the top by refusing to perform anything except the truth. Who looked at the machine that builds and destroys careers and simply declined to care what it thought of him. Who walked into a room full of panicked studio executives in 1948, listened to them tell him to apologize, and said no. Who whispered 3 words to a drunk director in 1955 and ended his career with less fuss than ordering lunch. Who appeared in over 110 films and never once tried to convince anyone he was an actor. The legacy: 112 films. 47 years of consistent, unbroken work, 0 public apologies, 0 accommodation of people whose opinion he didn't earn. The thing Robert Mitchum understood, that almost nobody else in the history of Hollywood understood, is that public opinion is only frightening if you need it. If you build your life on authentic competence, on real experience, on the kind of survival that leaves scars on your legs, then no studio threat and no newspaper headline and no drunk director can touch the center of you. Because the center has already been tested by things that were real. The lesson is not about being reckless. It is not about not caring about anything. It is about knowing the difference between what matters and what performs mattering. Mitchum always knew the difference. At 14 on a freight train, at 16 on a chain gang, in 1948 when the executives needed him to beg and he just didn't. Stop performing for people who have no real power over you. Do the work. Do it perfectly. Do it without announcing that you're doing it. And when someone tries to use fear as a tool against you, remember that fear only works on a man who hasn't already survived the thing being threatened. Build something real first, then nothing built on smoke can touch it. The photograph is black and white. He is somewhere in the early 1950 seconds. Shirt collar open, a cigarette hanging from the corner of his mouth with the casual permanence of a comma. His eyes are half closed, not sleepy. Never actually sleepy, just utterly unbothered. And he is looking directly into the lens. The expression says nothing, which is the whole point. The expression says, I have been on a chain gang. I have been in a jail cell. I have been threatened by every person with power in this industry, and I am still right here, looking at you, with this cigarette, and you still have no idea what to do with me. The world belongs to those who don't ask for permission. Authenticity is everything. If this story hit you the way it should, like a reminder of something you already knew but stopped doing, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell someone, the world needs more people who cannot be threatened into shrinking. Pass it on.